I hope you have unlimited text messaging. By Miss Carr. Chapter 107. Conversation 62. Things you text when you're commuting to Manhattan. Tony. So if I'm doing the time conversion in my head correctly, it's probably early afternoon where you are. Is this a good time to ask you what thing in your life you are happiest about or grateful for? I knew I should have kept a copy of the questions with me instead of just memorizing them. Me. I guess that's question 9 from that press activity we're supposed to do. Also, why are you texting me again so soon? Melinda will not be happy with either of us. Tony. She's never happy. Besides, it's necessary. At the rate we're going, it's going to be January before we get through all these questions. Since S is having his worst week in Washington, I decided to take the risk. Jane terrifies me, and we really need to be good to go in a couple of weeks. Tony. Tell the truth, Snugglebug. What are you really grateful for? Me. Where are you? Tony. Sitting in my car as Sasha, my new chauffeur, drives us to Manhattan while Yo-Yo tries to schedule a mid-week booty call with Darl Dark and axe wielding before Agent Mac begins scouring the world for wayward inhumans and the Helicarrier Jr. Me. You're letting someone else drive? I'm surprised. You hate it when I drive. Tony. Happy was actually my driver before becoming head of security, and is probably now Pepper's driver again due to the demotion. I don't have anything against people driving me, but it's obvious you learned how to drive in a war zone. If you were my driver during Afghanistan, it wouldn't have happened. But you're not exactly suited for a drive from the compound to Manhattan. Tony. Besides, this way I could text message you. Texting and driving is bad. So, again, tell me, what are you most grateful for? Although, even though this is encrypted, please don't say you know what. Me. You text messaging me this morning. Tony. That is a ridiculously romantic answer. But I feel like there's more. Be truthful, my little peach. Me. Some would say that it would be the day that a certain scientist saw something great in me and gave me that gift that you don't want me to mention by name, or finding out that James didn't die during the incident. Tony. But each of those things have a dark side. Me. It's hard to be happy that James is not dead when I remember he's alive because of Hydra. They tortured him for years and made him do all sorts of bad things. He was their slave. He killed your parents. No, they made him kill your parents. If I just kept him from falling, then things would be different. He wouldn't have to live with all that guilt, if we're ever able to undo the programming. They're working on it, but Hydra really screwed up his mind. Tony. I know. Leo's working on it too, or consulting on it rather. I still don't know how that happened, but he refuses to talk about it. Tony. Also, Sweetie Bear, I will keep repeating this until you actually believe me, but that wasn't your fault. However, I can't understand why you don't want to consider that the thing you're happiest about. Me. Okay, I am most grateful that we're talking to each other again after what happened. After Siberia, I thought we hurt each other too much to ever be okay again, but we're working on it. I think we're going to end up stronger than we were. Honestly, I'm just happy we made it to the point where we are. Tony. Again! Ridiculously romantic answer. Who knew you were a hopeless romantic at art? Me. I never really had a chance to practice before. So what is your moment? Tony. I don't know. Someone probably thinks surviving Afghanistan or maybe surviving the palladium poisoning. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I'm not dead yet, but I think you getting pulled out of the ocean is what I'm most grateful for. Me. Boy. Tony. First, it makes me feel less bitter about Howard spending most of his free time in the Arctic Circle when I was a kid. I'm over it now that I've made out with you. Tony. But besides that, I probably would have ended up really dead without you. I love you and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're talking to each other, and... Okay, I'm just rambling, and I realized that the tabloids would have a field day if they actually saw this message. Proof Tony Stark really does have a heart. Apparently, you're it. Me. No, you're the one being ridiculously romantic. Tony. And now we know that we'll just tell the reporter that we're most thankful for each other, and that we have yet to screw up our relationship totally. Me. I agree with that. Tony. Okay, next question is something I've always been curious about. If you could change something about how you were brought up, what would you change? Tony. Actually, let's twist that around and tell the other what we think they would change. Then we can see if that person is right. Me. So what do you think I would change? Tony. It's a toss-up between not growing up in a world filled with homophobic bigots and having a father who was not an alcoholic. I may be projecting on that last one. I might be projecting on both. I'm sure growing up bisexual in the 80s was significantly better than the 1930s, but probably not as much as it should have been. The homophobia of the board is testament to that, and unfortunately, they haven't got much better since the 80s. Me. They're still not okay with you having a public boyfriend. Tony. I'm doing a spread in the Advocate, so they'll get over it. The stocks are the highest they've been since the Murderbot screw-up. Me. Sorry. Tony. It's okay. Tony. Okay, it's not okay, but I'll deal with it. I always do. Me. You're right, that is what I would probably choose if I could be completely honest. Also, not being poor would be on the list. Tony. Now that answer you can give publicly, although some people may think you're a gold digger, so maybe we'll have to phrase it differently. Me. I wouldn't want to be ridiculously wealthy, but having enough money to always have food on the table and not worrying about rent would have been nice back then. You have no idea how much I love central heating. Tony. That I can understand. Would you wish you were healthy? Me. I don't know, because everything I went through gave me character. It made me a better person in the long run. Tony. Some could argue the same thing about the poverty. Me. Those are people who have obviously never had to make a bag of beans and have a loaf of stale bread last 2 days in the shivering cold. Tony. That's a valid point. So what do you think I would change about how I was raised? Me. I definitely think you would want your father to stop drinking and maybe see a therapist. From what I've read and what you told me, I don't think he was well later in life. Also, I think you would have wanted Howard to be honest about what he was doing for a living, or as honest as possible. I definitely think you wish you would not have been sent to boarding school. Tony. Okay, those are all things on my list. Although I've made peace with boarding school, I think I would have liked to have been told why I was sent to boarding school instead of the lies. Tony. Still mad about the Anna lie. She was like another mom to me, and I wish I knew the truth, so I could have mourned properly, you know. Me. That's understandable. Tony. I definitely would have liked a sober Howard. The alcohol took my dad away. Now that I'm not drinking, or rather struggling with trying to stay sober, it's more obvious how much I've lost because he was so deep in the bottle. Tony. The drinking got so much worse after Anna died. I guess it's because he blamed himself since the bullet was for him. Kimmy didn't know that, so he blamed himself for Howard's shitty parenting. Me. That could be why the drinking got worse, but that was a Howard problem, not a Tony problem. Tony. I know that, but I still wish it was different. I guess I really wish he would have actively shown that he loved me. You can get somebody all the things in the world, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just money or toys or cars, and that doesn't make up for the lack of hugs and kisses. I had Mom and Jarvis, but I didn't make up for the lack of Howard. Me. I'm sorry. Tony. And I love you, but I really wish I did not have to listen to Howard's endless variations of "You'll never end up like Captain America," "You'll never be as good as Captain America," or "He's the greatest and you're worthless." I wish I never had to deal with any of that stupid shit that Howard used to say to make me feel so worthless. Tony. No one could be Howard's version of Captain America. I mean, you came close, sweetheart, but no one is that perfect. Everyone has a dark side, even you. Me. I think you like me more because of the dark side. Tony. I love you because of your heart and your stubbornness and everything that is you. But it took me a while to realize that Howard's standard yardstick of Captain America was not you. I think that caused some problems in our working relationship later on. I really wish that baggage would not have been there. Tony. Unfortunately, this is the answer I can only give to you. Me. Maybe you could just mention the boarding school thing? Friday, what's the next question? Tony. So you want to move on to less volatile or less emotional ground? Me. Yes! Tony. Unfortunately, the next question is take 4 minutes to tell the other person your entire life story in as much detail as possible. See, this is why you should be careful what you wish for. Me. Oh, God! Please tell me that you're planning to write the cover version of that for me! Tony, Colson already dead. You're a wonderful stepfather, apparently, and have a heart of gold. Me. You made me the stepfather of somebody I kissed. Tony. This is what you get for kissing someone that I changed the diaper of. I still want to hear the real version of your bio from you. Wikipedia is always horribly wrong, and as we discussed earlier, Howard liked to lie a lot. Me. You're ridiculous sometimes. Maybe we could do this next time? We've been texting a while. Tony. I got time if you have time. I'm going to be in traffic for at least another hour. Besides, you know we should have done this exercise on the Illy carrier. That so would have prevented us from fighting, and then maybe Agent would not have had to go to Club Tahiti. Me. I now understand that reference. Tony. Agent America. Me. Yes, I think at this point in our relationship we know the real story and Google's story. So maybe we could skip to the next question? Tony. Well, my publicist is actually writing my version. But again, maybe I want to know how well you've listened. So let's do each other instead. Me. I already told you no telecommunications sex. Tony. Funny. Now let us compare the life of Steve Grant Rogers to that of Stephen James Carter. They both look like Greek gods and were raised in Brooklyn by single moms after their alcoholic asshole fathers left. But there are some key differences. Me. Is Jane okay with you referring to my father like that in an interview? Tony. Don't care. He was an abusive alcoholic and he hurt your mom and you, so I don't have the energy to remember his name or make up one for Stephen's father. Eventually, he left, and Steve's mom told everybody that he died during the Great War, where Stephen's mom didn't even bother with alive, because divorce was normal. Tony. I guess you don't want your fake bio to include anything about the second family the bastard started after leaving. Me. No, I prefer that we use the fake S.H.I.E.L.D. version when creating Stephen's history. Tony. Understandable. So both Steve and Stephen lost their mom at a young age. Steve's mom died of tuberculosis, and Stephen's mom died of HIV or maybe breast cancer. I can't remember what we mentioned in the initial press release. Me. This is what Coulson is writing it. Tony. Yes. Not to let the people know that Steve Rogers worked at a gay bar to put himself through art school. Stephen Carter also paid for college by working at various gay clubs. I guess that's another parallel. This may be where Stephen and Steve start to get the activism bug. Me. That is where I got the activism bug, as you say. I hated the way things were back then. I saw the police raid the club so many times. So many people got hurt or worse just because of who they loved. That's not right. Tony. Is that the real reason why you were so afraid of the Accords? You saw what the system did to those who were different back then, and you don't trust it to be better now. Me. Yes. All you need is just one dirty cop. Tony. We really should have done this exercise earlier. Me. Yes. Tony. Okay, things were going pretty good in Steve Rogers' life until this asshole in Germany started using people who were different as scapegoats in an effort to consolidate power, and thus we get concentration camps. Me. And too many people in America were just twiddling their thumbs and wanting to stay out of it. America first, they were all chanting. You know about the St. Louis, right? Tony. Everyone does. It was shameful. Me. Now we're saying the same thing again, except this time, it is humans first. No humans allowed. Tony. Well, at least there's the anti-discrimination laws on the books regarding genetics. In this country, anyway. The Accords are actually cutting down on some of the persecution of inhumans. Me. How long until someone like that senator, who hates you, tries to declare people with powers not human, and therefore not entitled to protection under the law? Tony. Sometime last night, apparently. That's why I'm going to be in D.C. for a while lobbying against it. I have to protect my kids. Me. Tony Stark, friend to all children. Tony. Because he still acts like a child half the time, or at least that's what was said in my last unauthorized movie biography. Me. No, this is my turn, and I think I'm going to be more accurate. Tony. That wouldn't be hard. The guy they had play me seriously looked nothing like me. Okay, so, who am I? Me. Anthony Carbonell, better known to the world as Tony Stark, is the only child of Maria and Howard Stark and the child of their heart of Edwin and Anna Jarvis. Tony really had 4 parents, which was good because 2 of them were not as best as they could have been. Tony. Maria tried, but I can't argue too much of that. Me. Yes, Anthony could put a circuit board together at 4, but I think his father resented him for that. When he was 9, he lost his mother figure and therefore was sent off to boarding school. He hated it because he thought it meant his father didn't love him, but it kept him away from bullies and possibly Hydra assassins. Me. He started college at 14, which was way too young. Tony finished undergrad at 16 with multiple degrees because he was that good, including one in music that most people don't know about. Me. Contrary to popular belief, Tony was not really a playboy until after his parents died. At least I think he used sex to dull the pain, along with a lot of drugs and alcohol. Tony. You really do know me. Me. Tony stayed in that state for a long time until his father figure stabbed him in the back, and then he realized he needed to change a lot of things. That's when he started to right a lot of his own wrongs with a metal suit, and then we met. I put my foot in my mouth, and we kept doing it over and over again until we started to actually listen to one another. That took a while. Tony. Okay, I love your version of my mini bio, because I think this is the longest series of text messages you actually sent me. It's good to know that you're paying attention. Me. I try. Tony. And you are back to monosyllables. I can use some of that, but all the Anna stuff will have to be scrubbed. I don't want people to know what she meant to me. I'm not even sure how much Jarvis stuff I want the public to know. Me. I understand. Tony. So last question, and then Yo-Yo is going to force me to eat a bagel or something. Me. You should eat something! Tony. So final question. You have the magic and human gene and had a bad reaction to the fish tacos. What power do you hope you'll get? Me. That's not the question. Tony. Obviously they came up with that question before people did wake up one morning with superpowers. Usually after having the morning fish oil bill. Or some shrimp. Fish tacos are starting to be scary. That's what happened to Yo-Yo. Me. Really? Tony. Yes. So if you could add another power to your wheelhouse, what would you add? Me. I kind of like what I have. I'm used to it. Although knowing what you were thinking most of the time would be helpful. You're getting better at telling me stuff, but I know it's hard for you. Tony. Maybe, but then you would be able to read everyone's minds, and you might find out things you don't want to hear, so that's not something I want. I thought maybe the ability to see the future, but that could be problematic. Me. Why? Tony. It depends on your philosophy about time, but some believe that you can't change the future. So what if you knew the future and couldn't change it? That would be awful. Tony. Actually, Coulson's team came across somebody with that power. When he touched somebody, they would see how somebody else was going to die. Allegedly, Skyquake saw her boyfriend saving the world in a prophecy vision, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to know how you're going to die. I'm still hoping that the vision from Wanda was just a mindfuck sort of thing and not a vision of the future. Me. Have you asked her about that? Tony. No. I've only talked to her a couple of times recently, mostly to make sure you're not, killing yourself. It's probably going to be even less now. That Vision is planning to move out. Honestly, I prefer not to know. Me. I get that. Tony. Okay, I've just been informed that it is bagel time. Write me in a few days. Me. Of course. Have a good day, Tony. Talk to you soon.